Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Jeremy Scott Fitness Podcast and Radio Show, coming to you on this Wednesday, July 31st, 2024. Hopefully, it finds you staying safe and staying sweaty all at the same time. On today's episode, we are talking about just 7 tips to get what you want in most arenas in life. Playing off of a little rip from a man, Pat Rigsby. I got a bunch of other things I'm going to actually dive into before that. I'll try to keep this episode quick. I have a very busy day today, but I wanted to I wanted to get you guys this out midweek if I can. If you're doing your mobility, you're on a ruck, you're walking, you're relaxing, or whenever you choose to listen to me ramble on. That is where we're at today. Coming to you from our home office. I got a puppy somewhere around me, and then my senior dog just keeps wandering around. So bear with me if you hear some barking and some things go sideways. Doing the best I can in the environment that I'm at because the gym is packed right now, full of people running around, sweating, listening to Britney Spears or Metallica or whatever they're playing today. And that is where we're at. So quick housekeeping things right off the bat. One, you guys know the Jeremy Scott Fitness app, jeremyscottfitness.app. You guys get a week for free. A lot of you guys are already in there. All my weekly workouts are updated every single Sunday. There's over 20 plus full follow-along programs ranging from 30 days all the way to 10 weeks in length. We got a bunch of new stuff coming out of the gate. We just loaded the advanced core and cardio trainer from BG Gador. It's a full follow-along video series, full walkthrough, and then all of the sessions are just follow along. So just click, watch, and sweat right along with him. I'm going to build some of those into my own weekly workouts, especially the early ones, just for some of the dynamic work and some of the things that I wouldn't normally do on my own. It's just helpful. Even for me, just to kind of beg, borrow, and steal and put some of those pieces into my stuff. It's like when we do our Sunday Advanced Metcons in-house in our facility. Like, I would do pieces of those workouts by myself, or even if I did a whole one, for example, but I wouldn't do the entire workout at that pace, at that scale, unless there was a bunch of other people around. It's just, you can only be so miserable by yourself, and you're gonna push yourself. A lot of type A motivated people do. I do as well. But there's just something about the energy of other people and just seeing an idea that originated from someone else. And even if those Sundays are created by me, it's the energy of others around me. And when I can see, okay, hey, BJ's like, hey, I'm doing this, I'll take part of that and I'll put that into my training. So I build it in my own weekly workouts. You guys will see those, but obviously the full programs are in there as standalones as well. So if you want a free week, check it out. jeremyscottfitness.app. It's in there. All this is going to be in the show notes, by the way. And again, you guys already know, shout out to my friends at AG1, the one thing I take every single day, and I never miss. If you're somebody who struggles to eat enough fruits and vegetables, and let's be real, even I do. At best, I'm eating, the fruits are easier for me for sure, but the vegetables, man, if I get more than 3 servings in a day, that's a huge win. And that's just kind of how my schedule breaks down, how I eat and what I do and don't like. But I do cover the gaps in my nutrition with a simple scoop of AG1, or typically I take a travel pack, I rip it, throw it in water, slam it, and I'm good to go. On top of that, just the gut health, the prebiotics, the probiotics, the enzymes in there. And again, you get the B vitamins, the magnesium, the adaptogens, all the things that you need just for overall immune health, but also the gut as well. And then obviously covering the gaps in what you eat. If you want a free sample, 100% on me. I don't care where you live, state, country, province, hit me up. We'll send you a free sample pack right to your front door. You can try it, and if you like it, we're happy to hook you guys up with a year's supply of free vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with order 1. But if you've heard other people talk about it, maybe you're curious, you've heard me talk about it, 600 times, or you're somebody who does struggle to eat the fruits and veggies they need, or you travel a lot for work and you may not have access to all the foods you want when you want them. This is an easy hack, and it takes all of about 30 seconds to do every single day. So links in the show notes if you want to check it out, drinkag1.com/Jeremy Scott, or hit me up for the free sample, and I'll get it out to you guys today. The other sponsors we have, obviously, our friends at Substance Nutrition, which I just hooked up with my friend, Dr. Mark Russell. I've been taking the creatine from these guys and the coffee as well. We've been making it at our house, the Neuro Coffee. If you guys put in the code JSF, you get 10% off your creatine. The protein that they use as well, which I do like, the vanilla, and then obviously the coffees as well. The donut blend is what we tend to use at our house. So you can check that out in the show notes. Shout out to our friends at Dry Farms Wine. Get a bottle of wine, get the next bottle for a penny. That is Heather's go-to. And then my friends at JLab Pro. I've been working with Jay for over a decade now. That's where historically we've got our protein, turmeric, our collagen, and our krill oils. Heather takes all of those. These are the things that I take as well. JeremyScottFitness.jlabpro.com. We usually have discount codes on that stuff, so if you're interested, hit me up. And then everything else is going to be in the notes below, so you guys can check it out for all the links and the discounts. And if you have questions on any specific products or things that we use or take, I'm happy to kind of dig in and answer all the questions for you guys and get you on the right track. At the end of the day, you got to eat real food, man. I mean, that's obviously the biggest thing where a lot of people struggle with. And if you're somebody who, is going to go spend $300 on supplements or $250 on like a percussion, like a massage gun or a Theragun or something, and you're spending all this money on these, what I call them ancillary things, but you're not willing to even look at your macros or the food quality, and you're not willing to get an extra, hour of sleep, and you're not willing to do mobility, I think you're just, it's a waste of resources and time. I'm not saying the other things don't matter, because they do, but there's low hanging fruit you could be taking advantage of, and that's just my 2 cents. That's coming from a guy who's obviously in fitness. I do think all these things matter. I think the supplements you take obviously matter. I think getting massages and those things matter. But if you're spending money and time on those things, but you're not willing to do these other free things that have an even bigger impact, I just think you're stepping over dimes to pick up pennies, as they say. So it's my little soapbox as we kick off the day today. So yeah, we're talking about kind of 7 tips to get you where you want to go, whether it be in your career. You can look at this in terms of your fitness, your nutrition. You can take this and piece it into some of your relationships as well, depending on, what type of relationships you do have. If you're married, you're not married, you're dating somebody, you want to be married, anything in that arena. I can only speak to that because I'm an old middle-aged married guy, so here we are. This is the last time I'll mention this on these podcasts, unless something, really drastic shows up and I for some reason feel compelled to think about it. I was talking to last week on the pod, just overall, like, just a message, what I thought was positive for people. Just like, hey, man, the world's a crazy place. America, for sure. You're coming up on like this election year. Obviously, if you look at anything, it seems to be politics are the most like just disgusting thing out there. Like, people get so mad, so angry, so sensitive, and I'm not judging anyone. I want you to believe what you believe. I want you to have your thoughts, your opinions, your stances. That's America. I think it's fucking great that we can think and say and do, for the most part, pretty much whatever the fuck we want, and there's not, these crazy, repercussions for a lot of it. I think that's the beauty of just, having some freedoms. And I said it the other day, and I'm like, I wouldn't, lose really close friends, and I wouldn't, alienate my family if they didn't have the same exact, political beliefs as I did. And again, I'm a fitness dude. What the fuck do I even know, right? And I posted that on Instagram, and the amount of people who just like, lit me on fire. I didn't even realize it. I posted, I did my workout, I come back, and it's hundreds of comments of people going, kind of off the deep end, saying all sorts of things. You can go and read the comments if you like. And I'm a public person in this way, so I have no issue with that. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I don't change my stance on it. I really don't think you should lose friends and lose family over arguing about most things, because they're your close friends and they're your family. And at the end of the day, man, when shit goes sideways and the world is fucked up and you're having a hard time in your life and you're sick or you're ill or there's loss, like those are the people you depend on most. And I have, and somebody asked me on there, Jeremy, how can you say that? Like, how can you, be friends with people and, still talk to them if they believe in X, Y, and Z? If they don't believe in these things for human rights, if they don't believe in these things for this. The reality is this. I'm a middle-aged dude. I have been lucky enough to travel the world. I was lucky enough to play college sports and make really great friends with people who are from different backgrounds from me. Um, they are in a different religion. They're a different race than me. Socioeconomic backgrounds, all different than me. I've been able to work in this industry in fitness and do the same thing. I have thousands of clients, hundreds of clients in person, and thousands of clients on the internet. And I promise you, I also have employees. I have people who work for me and work with me. And I can assure you, a lot of these people don't have the exact same beliefs that I have about religion or politics or sports or even nutrition or fitness or whatever it may be. And that's okay. If I only worked with and talked with people who had the exact same beliefs as I did, I would have such a small circle of people to work with. I would live in an echo chamber. I'm always willing to listen to other people's opinions and hear what they have to say. I might not like it, I might not agree with it, and I might think it's even wrong. I go, but I do support your right to say and do what you like and have your beliefs because you have them. I am not trying to make anybody think and feel the way I feel. I just say things, what I think can help people and make the world a better place. That's where everything I do essentially comes from. And I say all that to say this. My business partner in our Built Different kind of mastermind community, David Lorenzo, shot me over this, and it's an old guy sitting in a chair, and it says, "Life is short. Make sure you spend as much time as possible on the internet arguing with strangers about politics." I'll say that again in case you didn't catch it. It's an old guy sitting in a chair, and he looks salty as fuck. And he just says, life is short. Make sure you spend as much time as possible on the internet arguing with strangers about politics. And again, I'm not telling you guys what to do. Spend your time however you like. But what I will say is, you're never going to change like someone's mind if their mind is made up. And I do think arguing with nameless people on the internet about you believe X and they believe Y and they're stupid and you're right, and if they don't agree with everything that you say in your narrative and your story, they're a fucking idiot and they'll never get it. And I just think it's a really poor use of time. I don't think you get anything out of it. I think there's no positive things that can come from that. And if you live in that on the internet and you find yourself arguing with people and yelling at them and screaming at them, maybe don't be on the internet in those conversations. Because when you go out in the real world, it's not like that. When you go out to the bank, when you go out to the grocery store, when you go get your hair cut, if you still have hair, when you're at the park, when you're at the gym, people aren't yelling and screaming and fighting about these things. It's like they're just not doing it. Like it's such a weird world that we live in. And so if you find yourself getting caught up in that, maybe put it on mute, maybe unfollow it, and just do the best you can with what you have, and have your beliefs, have your thoughts, but also understand like everyone's not going to agree with you all the time. That's part of living in a society in a real world, and that's okay. It's called freedom. So with that, off my soapbox of that for the day. Just a quick financial piece here, because I've seen a lot of this come across on Unusual Whales, and it got me just to kind of going down some of the rabbit holes. And if you guys don't know, it's almost like a little news outlet that they do on the site, and then obviously on their Instagram too. A lot of it's financial, just kind of breaking down where things are at in the world in terms of money. And again, I'm just a fitness guy. I don't know where anything's going to go. If I did, I would have even more money than I do have. I would be, a billionaire or a trillionaire if I could predict the future, but I can't. But I do know it's in a weird place in terms of finances, and the reason I'm sharing this is just make sure you have your house in order. And what I mean by your house is like just understand like where your money's at, um, how much debt you're currently carrying, whether it's personal debt, whether it's business debt, how much you have in like an emergency fund saved for if things go sideways, uh, where your money's invested in, typically what you're getting for returns, what your you know P&L sheet is at your house, your budget, how much money's coming in, how much money's going out. When would you maybe want to transition careers, or if you have a retirement date, or if that's even a thing for you, just understanding how your money is working and what's going on in the economical world around you. Just because it is, I'm not a money guy. I've said that a lot on here. And I was once completely dead broke, and now I'm not. It didn't fix all the problems in my life, but it does create security, and it does create convenience, and it does give me a freedom. It gives you, kind of that the power to walk into a room, um, and know you don't have to do certain things because you have built up a financial freedom to say fuck you if you don't want to do something. And there is a power in that, and also just the what I call the sleep test. Can you sleep at night and not worry about if your dishwasher breaks, or if your air conditioner goes out, or if you have major car issues, or just something pops up? Are you okay? And I share all that because on the Unusual Whales, they're sharing all of the numbers here. And I want to just throw some of this out there if people don't know. And I think the media does a terrible job of talking about this. And everybody just kind of, and especially the government too, they act like everything's fine and you're just going along and, oh, it's okay and this is normal. What is going on right now is not normal. If you're my age, you've lived through multiple decades now. And I lived through '07, '08. And I remember them saying the day before, I think it's Greenspan, hey man, the housing market's fine. And then the next day, it's complete fucking shit and the world is just melting. I'm not saying this is the exact same, but there's a lot of similarities to what's going on. And so people say, like, oh, inflation's not that bad and the economy seems to be fine. Both things are completely untrue, and this shit is out of control. It just is. And you guys feel it at the grocery store. You feel it in your insurance for your car and your house. You feel it if you're a person who can't buy a home yet because you haven't bought one yet, and you feel like you're priced out of the market because the shit is fucking bonkers, man. And from the Unusual Whales, they have a bunch of snippets talking about households have added 3.4 trillion in debt since the pandemic, and a lot of people are struggling to make payments. Credit card delinquency is on an upward trend, and at a rate that's really not been seen before. And auto loans are transitioning into delinquency at a 13-year high. And this is per Fed Governor Lisa Cook. Credit card delinquencies are on an upward trend, so people are not able to pay on their credit card balances, which you guys know if you get behind in those things at 25, 26% is worse than owing the mafia money. And then obviously the auto loans are getting into delinquencies at a 13-year high. So they haven't seen auto loans get this high in terms of delinquencies. People can't pay their auto loans. People can't pay their credit cards in 13 years, which if you do the math takes you back to like 2010, like 11-ish, give or take, which is not a good thing. And also if overall your U.S. national debt has hit 35 trillion, which I don't even know, like when you say trillion, it just sounds fake, like you're making up numbers. And that is the most that it has ever been. And the wealthiest 1% of people hold 49% of all stocks. So think about that. The wealthiest 1% of people hold 50% of all the stocks out there. That means the people who are behind are continually behind. And it just piles on top of them over and over and over. And if you ask yourself, like, what does that really mean? Like the gross national debt of 35 trillion, that would equate to about $105,000 per person, and about $266,000 per household. Like, think about that. Like, there's no way, like, it doesn't matter how many taxes they would take from you. There's no way you're going to be able to ever make up that difference. It's not an income problem. It's a spending problem. That's what most people fall into. Which, when I found that, it took me down this other rabbit hole of how much inflation has kind of fucked the money and the position that you're in what you make at your job versus what you used to make, and how far basically your purchasing power is what I'm getting at. And if you look at like what your parents did and, what your grandparents did, and then what you're having to deal with today, the game has changed and it's not the same and it is not as easy. And if you look at like how much $1 million was in 1990, let's say, um, over the last, this is taken, you're talking probably like 2021, which I think is even worse today. So I'm giving you like the best case scenario. It is actually much worse now. But over the last 30 plus years, there's been approximately 104% kind of a cumulative rate of inflation. So the value of $1 million in 1990, you would have to have over 2 million today, about $2,043,259. It's pretty sad and pretty alarming. It is actually over doubled, which is not a good place to be in. And obviously, people know there's no doubt a typical home today costs way more than it did in terms of relative income. And I'm going to pull these stats from 2022. The median price for an existing single-family home sold in 2022 was about $390,000. I think it's actually up to like four something today, which is not good. I think it's like closer to 450. Someone can fact check me if I'm wrong. Which even at 390, that's 5.2 times higher than the median household income, which is $75,000 a year. That's 5.2 times the median household income. Now, if you go back to, let's say, the 1970s, the median price of an existing family home was about 2.6 times the median household income. As recently as 2011, which is kind of the bottom of the housing bust, the ratio was 3.3. And the peak of the housing boom before it went to shit was 4.7 times the median income. No wonder people are finding it hard as hell to find a house and afford a house. So I share that just because to give you a perspective at scale of how just insane it is right now out there, and the trajectory can't keep going this way. I just can't believe that. If you're right now looking at it's 5.2 times higher to buy a home than the median home income, and before the housing market melted down, it was 4.7, and back in the 70s, it was 2.6. Like, it seems unsustainable and impossible that this is the trajectory that we are going on. I don't know when it breaks or how the bubble pops or what exactly it is, but it's not sustainable. And that's why I say this, and it's not a money podcast, but the amount of money you have, saved and invested and not having a shit ton of debt hanging over your head when people get laid off, when, stock market eats shit, or when the housing market, flips around and things are going sideways, you're just in a better place to weather the storm. And that's really what I'm getting at. And that comes down to you're going to stress less. You're not going to have to panic. You're probably going to sleep a little bit better. You're not going to, go in a pit in this downward spiral. Hopefully, put yourself in a bad position. I share all that to really just be aware of the environment of what's going on right now. It can't continue at this clip, because if it did, it would price everybody out of everything forever, and no one could ever afford anything, and we would be like some type of third world country. So I don't know when it's going to crack, but I feel like it's got to come sooner than later. So just my 2 cents out there. Make sure you guys know what you got and where it's going and what it looks like, and just be mindful of the economical world that's going around you. And this last little clip is just talking about a special bank account and really playing off of the 86,400 seconds kind of theme that I wrote about many years ago in the book, Make Success Mandatory, and what I kind of talk about, just, making the most of your time and understanding it's the most valuable thing that you do have. And I've talked about this on here before in little clips, but it's just a reminder, especially, life goes quick, it's fast. We never know where things are going and where they're headed. And just imagine you had a bank account that gets deposited with $86,400 each morning, and the account carries over no balance from day to day. It allows you to keep no cash in the account, and every evening the account cancels out. So whatever part of that money you failed to use during the day, you don't get it back. So if you spend $40,000, the $46,000 just gets, burnt, gets deleted from your account. So if you knew you had $86,400 every single day to spend, what would you do? Would you draw out every single dollar, or would you just spend what you needed to and then let the rest of it burn? Would you try to donate it to people who needed it? Would you spend it on fun things? Would you spend it on necessities? And when you frame it in terms of money, you look at it a little bit different because we all have such a bank. It's time. You have 86,400 seconds every single day. And every morning you wake up, unless it's your last, it credits you with 86,400 seconds. Every night it writes it off as lost, and whatever time you failed to use wisely is gone. It doesn't carry over from day to day. It doesn't allow you, to overdraft. You can't borrow against it for your future self. Every day starts fresh. Every night, the unused time it's gone. And it's an hourglass, and it's going quicker and quicker and quicker. At least it feels that way for me, especially as I get older. And if you fail to use the day's deposits, it's your loss. And you can't appeal to get those deposits back. And there's never any borrowing time. You can't take out a loan on your time against someone else's. The time you have is the time you have, and that's it. Whether it be good or bad, it's all you got. Time management is yours. You decide how you spend your time, just as with the money, you decide how to spend your money, you decide how to spend your time. It's never a case of us really not having the time to do the things, but the case of whether we want to do them and where do they fall in line with our priorities. And so if you look at that from a standpoint of, being at work and making money, or spending time with your kids and your family, and there's a balance there, and you have to draw that where you have to draw that for your life, for your goals and what you think is important and what you need to do versus what you want to do. But also in terms of your fitness. How much time, do you want to spend doing mobility? How much time do you want to spend, making food for yourself? How much time do you want to spend working out? How much time do you want to spend watching Netflix? And then if you look at, if there's certain areas of your life that you're not getting what you want, well, how much time am I spending, watching Netflix every night? Is it an hour? Is it 3 hours? Is it 5 hours? And then how much time did I spend working out? Was it 0 minutes? Was it 20 minutes? Was it 32 minutes? And you start to look at those things and the dedication and the allotment of time. And that's why I say it that way. And obviously, we all wish we had more and we could do things different. And hindsight is always 20/20, but we can't. And for a lot of us, it's not about not having enough time. It's us using that time wisely on our priorities and on our goals if we really want to get certain things done. So that brings me to kind of these 7 tips to get what you want from a man, Pat Rigsby. And he kind of put this in a business context because kind of that's what he does. But I think if you listen to this and there's something else you want to do, you can put this in any other context and it's going to get you there. And there's 7 basic things. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing overly complex. It's just writing it down and being specific. And I'll talk about all that inside the context of here and having deadlines. But the first thing you have to do, you have to set goals that push you and stretch you and make you actually try, but are also attainable, right? Like if you're listening to this and you're my age and your goal is to, become the next quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings, that's not realistic. And I promise you it's not going to happen, even if you try. And so knowing that, it's not really that motivating because it doesn't seem even remotely attainable. But on the flip side, if it doesn't challenge you, you won't be inspired to go after it and try either. So that's where it has to stretch you piece comes into play. If you're 300 pounds and you want to lose 1 pound, hasn't really challenged you, and it's going to be attained. If you go take a dump, you'll basically get there. So that's not hard enough. But if you're 300 pounds today and you say, hey, I want to weigh, 185 in 30 days, that's not realistic. You're not going to be motivated by that, and you're surely going to fail and not even be remotely close by the end of the 30 days. So make the goals stretch you and push you and have them be ones that inspire you and motivate you. And that's why I always go back to having a coach and accountability and a goal, and even a community becomes much easier to get there. I think that with your finances, it's why people have financial advisors. It's why people have CPAs. Hopefully, you have a partner and a spouse you can talk to about your money. If it is a physical goal, it's why you have a trainer. It's why you have a gym community. It's why you can get on the app. It's why you can have a nutritionist. It's why you can have a physician. You can have all these people kind of lay a path out for you, and they can walk with you on your journey. Set goals that stretch you and push you, and that are hard to do and hard to get to, but are also attainable in some way, shape, or form on the back end. The second thing, they got to be specific, right? Like saying I just want to be fit is vague. Saying I just want to eat better is vague. Saying I just want to be more mobile is vague. Saying I just want more money is vague. You can say I want to go from making $7,000 a month to $20,000 a month in the next year. That's more specific. Saying I want to go from, 250 pounds to 215 pounds, that's more specific. Saying I want to be able to touch my toes and get on and off the floor pain-free, that's more specific. You have to set things that are tangible and you can actually track and look at. That's why I'm a big fan of, obviously if you're doing food stuff like MyFitnessPal. Obviously, if it's paying off debt, you can use just a simple debt calculator. You can do a simple ledger and P&L sheet. You can look at your investments. You can look at your bank accounts. The numbers go up, they go down. They're moving the right way. They're moving the wrong way. If it's weights in the gym, I'm deadlifting, 200 pounds. I want to deadlift 300 pounds. And you can track the weights as you go by week. And you can see if you're stronger. You can see if you improved, your aerobic condition, how fast do you run a mile in? How fast do you run 3 miles in? What's your 2K ski time or your 5K road time? Like these types of things you can track and measure. You can track them year over year. You can track them week over week, month after month, and even day after day. So I do like the specific metrics to really dig down and see if you're making progress or not. A third one, same premise, just setting deadlines, just having dates in mind. If you want to sprint to do something, you have to have a finish line to avoid essentially pacing yourself out of your goal, which helps, for one, create a sense of urgency. Hopefully not anxiety. Hopefully it's just a sense of urgency to get there. And if it makes you anxious, maybe give yourself a little bit of grace and some more time, obviously, on the journey. But if you don't know how far you have to go, and you don't know how long it's going to take, it's really hard to pace yourself. Because more than likely, you're going to burn yourself out. You're going to go way too fast, way too quick, or you'll go way too slow. And you could have got to your goals 10 times faster if you just knew the correct pace. So I do think deadlines matter. And the best example I can give of this, and I use fitness as an example because I'm a fitness guy, like when we do our erg work in the gym, and typically the concept to row and the ski and then the bike erg, you can set the races and then you have a projected finish time. So this last week we set certain metrics for each 5-minute block. You had to, I think we took the bottom PRs of the group and then added 30 seconds. So like you had to do the row every round within 3 minutes and 53 seconds. And I think you had to do the ski within like 3:59 for males. Now, neither one of those are insanely fast. And people started to struggle because as the day goes on, fatigue kind of makes cowards of us all. But the point is that you knew you had to do 1,000 meters within 3 minutes and 53 seconds. If you did 3:54, you got 0 points. If you did 3:52, you got all the points for the block. And that's what I mean by pacing yourself. It's a much different pace I go at when I'm doing 1,000 meters versus 5,000 meters, or when I'm doing 500 meters versus 10,000 meters. One of these is going to take me, a minute and a half or 3 minutes. The other one's going to take me, essentially 19, 20 minutes or around 40 minutes. So you have to know where the finish line is to avoid outpacing yourself. Is your financial goal going to take you 3 months, 6 months, 3 years, 6 years, and so on? You have to know how far you have to go, or at least have an idea. You might be a little bit faster, you might be a little bit slower, but at least you have an idea of how to pace yourself and know where you're at on the journey and how much urgency you need to have the closer or further away you are from the goal. And the fourth one, you need to actually want the things that you're going after, and you have to want them. Not for your friends, not for your family, not for your boss, not for your coworkers, not for fucking Instagram or whoever you think is watching. You need to actually want the things you're going after. It seems simple and it seems like that's common sense, but you would be amazed at how many people set goals because someone told them that that should be their goal, or that's what they think they should be doing because their best friend did it, or their neighbor did it, or people in their family did it. So they automatically assume that's what they need to do. That is not the case, my friends. You need to actually want the things you're going after. You have to be, I'm fine with external motivation. There's nothing wrong with, money and fame and praise and likes and all the bullshit that comes with that. Those are all important things in some context. But you have to be intrinsically motivated, for sure. If you really want to do what I would say is, extreme shit, or epic stuff, like if you want, it's the old, Patrick Swayze in Point Break, the old Bodie quote, if you want the ultimate, you got to be willing to pay the ultimate price. If you want the ultimate, not if your wife wants it or your husband wants it or your kids want it, if you want it, if you actually do. And I talk about this a lot in here, the comparison game, and we've already mentioned it, we beat it to death. But so many people set goals because someone told them that's what they should do. Someone told them they got to be married by this date. Someone told them they have to live in this type of house. And that's their starter house. And then they have to live in their quote unquote forever house, whatever that means. And then they have to drive this type of car, and they have to have this type of job title and this type of career, and they have to be in this type of shape. And they're not really doing it for themselves. And they find themselves struggling for motivation and failing and being unfulfilled, even if they do reach the goals, because it's what they thought they should be doing, but in reality, they really wanted to do something else, and they had something else internally calling them, yet they were following cues from the world and society or the news or wherever they're getting their information from. So make sure you guys actually want the things you're going after, and ask yourself a level 2 question. Why do you want them? Why does it matter? Like, oh, I want 6-pack abs. Awesome. Why do you want them? What does that mean to you? What is it going to do for you in your life? How happy do you think it will make you? Are you doing it for you? Are you doing it for somebody else? Are you doing it for feedback? Are you doing it for likes and comments and looks? What are you willing to give up to get those things? And is the juice worth the squeeze on the journey? And only you can answer that. So make sure you really want it, because it's your time. And as we talked about earlier, you only have so much of it to give and so much of it to dedicate to certain things. So just make sure it is important. Number 5, we all need accountability. I talk about this a lot. It's how our nutrition coaching actually works. We hold people accountable. We look at what they eat. We see what they're doing. We can check in with them. We can give them feedback. People are there. It's how the gym works. You show up at 6 a.m. or you don't. And if you don't show up, the results won't come, but you have other people there. Oh, where's Chris been? Where's Amanda been? And if you're not there, we go looking for you. You always do better with it. We all know that. You always do better with accountability than without it. From having a training partner, or using a coach, being part of a peer group, all of those things are going to help you be better. I've already mentioned this in great depth and detail. You're always better with a good person, a good team, and a good community around you. There's nobody I know who's ever done it completely on their own. Nobody. And if you're someone right now and you're like, you don't have a good partner, you don't have a good team, you don't have a good peer group, you don't have a good coach, that's the one thing I would focus on first if you really want to get to a different stage in your life in a lot of areas. You know, if you want to be fit, hang around fit people in the gym. It won't automatically do it for you, but over time, rising tides do raise all ships. It's really rough to be the person making no progress, not getting any better, and you're hanging around other people who are always improving. If you want to be wealthy and you're always hanging around wealthy people, odds are it's going to level you up. If you want to be a person of virtue, if you want to be a good human, if you want to be somebody who has perspective and gratitude, hang around people who carry those same values and work towards a common goal with them. Make them part of your circle. Number 6, you got to break it down. That's why we talk about how far is your goal away? What does it look like? What pace are you going to go at? And have it broken down into chunks. This is at least what I do, and it works for me. Like, feeling overwhelmed gives you that kind of, paralysis by analysis. You don't even know where to start. The goal seems so daunting and so big and so impossible. The overwhelm kind of kills your, it kills your progress for sure, but it kills your sense of how do I start? How do I begin? It's like you're dead in the water before, it's like the boat won't even start, you know. We do better when we have goals that are broken down into smaller targets and smaller chunks, right? Like Jeremy, how do I lose 100 pounds? Well, 1 pound at a time, for sure. But if you did half a pound to a pound a week, that would be 50 to 100 weeks, and you'd be good. Like, that's what it is. Hey, Jeremy, I got $30,000 of credit card debt. What can I do? Well, if you can allot, $100 every week towards that debt, at the end of the month, you'll have $400 or $500 gone. And now we're at, $29,500 to go. That's what I mean by just having these smaller blocks broken down. It seems more attainable. And if you look at anything in your life that you've ever done, whether it's you raised a family or you graduated from college, you advanced in your career, you went from being in no shape to great shape. You played college athletics. You learned how to play the piano. You read, you read a really challenging book, whatever it may be, big or small. If you looked back on how I got there, it's like, well, you didn't do it all at once. Those were all done in pieces. And whether it's a small goal similar to I read a book that was 3,000 pages to I graduated college, it's all done the same way. One word, one class, one semester, one chapter at a time. And if someone showed you all the things you had to do to get to your final goal before you started, it would seem overwhelming. I got to get 150, credits, and you only get 3 credits a class. Man, that's going to take me forever. Or, I got to lose all this weight, or I got to pay off all this debt, or it seems insane when you look at it from afar. If you told me all the stuff I would have had to do when I started this this started on my own December of 2009 is when we started this business. So I guess essentially 2010, but December of 2009, I'm on my own in the streets, if you will. And if you would have told me all the things I had to do the last 14, 15 years to get here, I wouldn't even have believed it. It would have seemed so overwhelming. I wouldn't even have probably attempted it or tried it because it just would have sounded impossible. But you didn't have to do all 15 years in a year. You just wake up one day and stack one good day on one good week, on one good month, on one good quarter, and so on, and eventually you're on your way. And that kind of pinwheel snowball effect of, positivity starts to work in your favor. But you have to take it in chunks. You have to take it in pieces. Every day is not going to be a step forward. You might take 5 steps forward, and then one day you have to take 2 steps backward. But you're still 3 steps ahead of where you were at when you began. But you just have to start. And you just have to consistently show up and keep giving your best. And the last one, number 7, you get a prize. If you want to get somewhere, there has to be something at the end of it. Like, you may not need a prize, but we always tend to do better when we have a reward for winning. It sounds pretty dumb and it sounds pretty simple, but what's the actual thing? That's why I harp on so much. Make sure it's something that you really want, like that you're really jacked about. Because if not, like, when it gets tough, when it gets hard, when it gets long, when the habituation of the excitement and the freshness and the newness and the inspiration and the instant motivation to begin wears off, what's the prize that's going to keep you going? Make sure that goal really matters. Make sure the reward for winning is worth it. It's a simple formula that's proven successful time and time again, and it will for you too if you put it into action, but you just have to make sure it's worth it. Is the money worth it? Is the feedback worth it? And I guess you don't know that until you get there, but like, hey, I want to, become debt free. That's the prize, is not having to pay a bunch of bills to people anymore, not having to pay, interest to someone else on your car, on your house, on your boat, on your student loans, on your credit cards, on whatever the fuck you have debt on, and start investing and paying yourself the interest. That's the prize. That I think is worth it. Hey, I'm going to lose 100 pounds. Well, the prize is I get to move better and feel better. I'm lighter. I'm more mobile. My joints don't hurt as much, and I'm probably not going to die as quickly as I would have, statistically. That's the prize. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need a prize, but it's better to have something that's really rewarding because it feels so good once you get there and you worked your fucking face off and you earned it. That's what I mean by having something that you really care about and you really want that rewards you for your efforts. Because just working super hard every day, all the time, and not getting a reward from it, I don't know how many people can keep going. And the reward doesn't always have to be what you think, right? Like, if I take what I do and I'll let you guys go in a sec, it's not always just money, man. And that helps for sure. And it's a huge motivator. We live in an economical world. You can't really do anything without it. And you need it to survive and to live and to have a certain level of, comfort and experience and freedom. But a lot of times it's like we do things that I know make people feel good, and that is part of why I keep the gym open and not just Jeremy's private man cave to fuck around and do exercise in. Because I know it helps people. I see the community aspect of it, of people creating friendships that they'll have their entire lives in our facility. That's a prize. I see people in our app community reach out, connect, talk to each other, and become friends digitally, and then sometimes they even meet each other in person and then become, friends in real life. Like, that's a prize for me. There's people who have worked for me. I've had multiple employees over the years who have came in and who have had great success in our business, and then they've went on and taken the pieces that they've learned in our business and applied it to their life and their business. That's a prize for me. I get something from that. Like, so when you think about what winning is and what the reward is, it doesn't always have to be maybe what you started off thinking it was. There might be a bunch of other prizes and there might be a bunch of other rewards along the way that you get on the journey. And that's what I would say about, if you're somebody who, if I use fitness, right? If you want, I want 6-pack abs, or I want to, lose 100 pounds, or I want to, deadlift 500 pounds, or I want to be able to row 2K under 7 minutes, whatever. That's the prize at the end. But on that journey, there's so many little things you're going to pick up. You'll get so much stronger. You'll have so much more endurance. You'll have so much more drive. Like, you'll be able to push through things and go either around or through obstacles you weren't able to go through before because of this journey. So, yeah, there's this ultimate prize at the end, but there's so much awesome shit you pick up along the way. I think that the same of, if you're a person who's, trying to get out of debt and become financially free, you're going to have the same thing. you get the prize at the end, but it's really all the lessons you learn to that prize that really make you into this new kind of badass version of who you are. So again, it's a simple formula. It's not overly complex, but if you have goals right now in your life and you're looking at them and they seem like either impossible, or you're not really motivated to go through them, or you're just not making the progress you want, ask yourself, is this goal a stretch for me and is it attainable? How specific have I been with my goal? Do I actually have a deadline? Do I really even want this shit? How much accountability do I have from my friends, my family, my partner, my coworkers, whoever it may be? Do I have it broken down into bite-sized chunks so it's not overwhelming me? And what is the prize I'm getting at the end? And is that something I really want? And is it rewarding enough to make me keep waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning and grinding my face off in order to get it? And maybe it is, and maybe it isn't. And only you can answer that. So hopefully you guys got something from this episode. I know I went a couple different directions here, but I thought it was important, and hopefully it helps you on your journey, chasing all the things that you want and you deserve. And that is it for today. I got a bunch of stuff to do. I got to get out of here. If you guys have any questions on the app, obviously hit me up and just ask. If you guys are watching on YouTube, thank you guys. You're welcome as always. Again, our YouTube channel has, at this point, like 2,200 videos. It's a lot, all for free. Like, subscribe, share at a like, subscribe, share, subscribe, and share. See, that's when you know you need to get off, when you just start mixing up words and just making up shit as you go. So yeah, you guys can be on YouTube, get it all for free. Obviously, the app, you guys get a free week. If you want a free sample of AG1, obviously hit me up. If you guys want to try our Neuro Coffee or the creatine that I take, or even the Substance Protein, hit me up. We got a code JSF, gets you guys 10% off everything, always and forever. And other than that, well, I'll probably pop on sometime next week. I got a bunch of stuff I'm trying to kind of put together here. We're moving our whole website over, so I've been doing a lot of stuff there. So I've been really just short on time. But yeah, and it's also 300,000 degrees here in Scottsdale right about now, so I could be done with that as well. But just working away. If you guys want to hear anything specific or want me to touch on a topic and or bring somebody on, hit me up, send me the requests. I'm happy to see it. If you guys like this, first of all, thank you guys for all the Google reviews that you dropped this week. I appreciate it. We send out an email. We do a request typically like once per year. It means a lot to us. Obviously, it helps our business, so I appreciate the Google reviews. If you guys have never left us one and you want to, the link for that is in the show notes as well. And then obviously, if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can always drop a 5-star and leave a comment. That helps us out as well. I wish you guys an amazing week, and I will talk to you in a couple of days. So until next time, eat well, train hard, be nice to people, and please, you guys, keep doing shit you love with people you enjoy, because your life is too short not to. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.